Hey guys, so in around 2 hours I will be training my legs, and since today is the most heaviest training day of the week, we obviously need to get some carbs in. And since I'm a bit low on food, we need to be a bit creative today. So I got some cornflakes mixed with some nougat bites, I got some bananas, I also found some old cereal bars, and we're gonna flush it down all together with some low-fat milk and a whey shake. So let me eat up and see you at the gym. Okay, so today's training session can be basically split up into two main lifts. And that is for one, Romanian deadlifts, and then later leg press. And for that we are also gonna do one machine just basically for warm up and of course some muscle stimulus. And then would be for RDLs, some lying leg curls, and later on for leg press, which we're gonna do unilateral, the leg extension, so that we are well warmed up and ready to perform for each lift. And prevent any possible injuries. Okay, for the first set it should be something like 7 reps. Bit heavy, but I think they were alright. Okay, so for RDLs, excluding the warm-ups, I'm basically just gonna do one set, just because for me personally it's quite fatiguing. But since we only got one set, that obviously means that we basically give it all we got. Yeah, I'm gonna do quite some amount of warm-ups, just so I feel safe in the movement, that when I'm doing the set, there's nothing to think about, that I don't have to think about my technique. There's nothing I have to worry about, so that we get everything we can out of this one set. You know, I do have to say that I got my problems with doing RDLs, mostly because I'm not really that stable in my midsection. Often got a hard time holding the weight upright without having to roll in and kick forward. You know, that is really a limiting factor for me. And well, now you might ask, why don't I just use a belt? You know, I did do that before, but that really didn't solve or help with the problem, you know. My hamstring got stronger and stronger, but at some point I just couldn't hold the weight anymore. I mean, if you're a powerlifter or RDLs or deadlift expert, you might definitely notice that. I know there are some form problems, but you know, I think the best way to solve it is just to, you know, try to not overdo it with the weight, and you know, just try to get more stability into my core, and then over time, you know, my hamstrings and my core hopefully will grow at the same speed. Okay, so now we're done with hamstrings for today. So next up we're gonna do some leg extensions. Yeah, I'm gonna work us up to, I think, something like 160 kg, something like that. And then we're gonna go upstairs and do some leg press. Okay, I might even could have done one more, but my coach wrote me that I should leave one rep in the tank. So since I often tend to forget that, that should be fine. Alright, so here we are. So I'm gonna try to make it as much quad thriving or driving as possible, just by, you know, really trying to get deep down, you know, try to have as much pathway with your lower part of your leg, you know, that you tend to take your glutes more out of the movement and have more quad activation. I mean, I gotta be a bit careful because I tend to get a bit of knee pain with the exercise, but if we warm up properly, we should be fine. You know, normally I tend to prefer, or I do like, you know, the flavored water here from the gym, but on leg days I prefer water. So, you might think the workout is over, but actually we still need to hit some calves and some abs. So, let's go. So I have to say I'm already quite cooked from the beginning of the workout. But we will still aim for something like 7 or 8 reps. Yeah, something in that range. Okay, one more. We did it, guys. Thanks for staying. I wish you a good night. I'm gonna go drive home, get some food, get some rest. See you next time.